you can and do
Yep.
things, but you're doing things within God's world, okay? But you want to leave Costco and tell me that that's your stuff without showing me the receipt. I want to know how your worldview provides for you knowing things in your system.
Well, because I can do things like it's repeatable. Like
Sir, you're not getting this.
no,
Okay,
I guess I'm not. I mean,
nobody's
I'm,
Can you do
denying that.
things in your system?
Listen to me. I'm not denying that you know how to tie your shoelaces, but you will either know how to tie your shoelaces within God's world or not God's world. So, in which system do you know how to tie your shoelaces?
I don't know what system I'm in. I mean,
Well,
provide
then, if
knowledge.
you
I
no
don't
no 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 no, let me explain something to you.
know.
When you claim that you don't know, that's a de facto denial that you're within God's system. So it's an outward claim of indifference, but you're acting hostile to God. So you're claiming to know things within a not God world, in spite of the fact that you're claiming that you don't know.
Yeah, but I could
It's an
just say the reciprocal to you.
No, you can't, because I'm not claiming that I'm suspending judgment when I'm actually making a judgment. I'm claiming that I am affirming that God is, and I know that He exists, that He has revealed Himself. I'm not doing what you're doing.
Right. I know I can tie my shoes because I can tie my shoes. Like I don't.
No,
There's
no, sir,
evidence that I'm able to
sir,
do that.
that's not informative. I want to know, tying your shoes because you can tie your shoes doesn't explain itself. What you need, look, let me look. How old are you?
Oh, here we go now. I'm
No, no,
40.
no, no.
I'm 43 on the third.
Okay, cool. So you're a mature man. Do you have children?
Yeah.
Did you ever teach them how to count?
Do I ever what? Sorry, you cut out a little bit.
Did you ever teach your children how to count?
Yeah.
Did they ever recount things that they've counted before and you corrected them?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, you see, in order to count, you need a system, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so in order to tie your shoelaces or to reason or to predicate, to do anything, you need a system.
Or you could be random.
No, you're not understanding at all, right? You can't have a contextless, systemless predication, right? Then
You don't
because
want to
it
go
would
down the happenstance path. Trust me,
yeah,
you just
you
don't.
would you would- it wouldn't have any meaning. Okay.
I suppose.
So the point is you're claiming to be something and you're claiming to know things without acknowledging that you and I are God's stuff. So you're trying to get out of Costco without a receipt. So I want to know how the fundamental parameters of existence upon which you rely and are implicit in everything that you say, I want to know how and why they're real in order for you to reason, but that they're real without depending and deriving upon God. And the
Well,
answer is there's
sure.
nowhere. No, here's the bottom line. I mean, you're free to take as much time as you want to answer. There's nowhere for you to go.
Yeah, but God hasn't revealed himself to me. So like you're asking
Okay,
me to
okay,
understand
okay.
things that have been
Oh,
revealed to
oh,
you.
okay. So you've
Right.
decided that all the facts that you're acquainted with are not in and of themselves and collectively indicative and revelatory of the eternal. Now, that's a claim you're making. Can you defend that?
When did I make that claim? I just said that God
You
didn't
said
reveal himself to
that's a
me.
Yeah,
claim. That's a
that's
claim.
a claim. That's a
Okay,
claim.
yeah. Yeah, I
But you're
can defend
saying,
it.
all right, let me explain something to you. If you look outside your window and you see a tree, you look out, you see a rock on the side of the road, doesn't matter what you're invoking, okay? So you are going to invoke these things either that they are indicative and revelatory of the eternal and by the eternal's purpose, meaning it would also be an agent, or not. So you've decided that these things are not indicative of the universal. So what you're saying is that they possess identity and actuality and consequently intelligibility, not in virtue of the eternal. So then how do these things possess identity and actuality? Are they absolute within themselves?
I'm not sure.
Well, then you can't make any claims then. Your claims are meaningless. There's no when you say God hasn't revealed himself to me, you're just saying, well, the tree outside the window, the grass blowing in with the wind, the moon shining on a cloud-free night,
Oh,
whatever it is, my dog
yeah.
wagging its tail, that you can invoke them without reference to the necessity
So
of
you're
God. Well,
saying everything is revealing.
that's right. That's the biblical position,
So
Romans 1.
isn't
But your position is that everything does not reveal God. Now, what I want you to know is when you say everything, when you talk about the tree outside your window, you're claiming that the tree possesses actuality and it possesses identity God-free. That's
it
your
feels like
position,
you have
right?
to tell me
No.
because like you're
Okay, listen to me. Either the tree possesses actuality and identity, either in virtue of God or not. Are we clear on that?
sure.
Okay. But
No, if you
when
don't
you
know,
say
that's all. That's okay. You just have some more,
so
few more years of
so
discovery to
Hey,
do.
let him talk,
hold on,
dude.
hold on. So when you claim God hasn't revealed to me, you're taking one pole of the dichotomy, which is a claim. So I want to know now how these things possess identity and actuality without
How would
deriving from the look. Let
how
me
would I
explain something.
know?
Look, I'm trying to explain to you what your position is. Now, in order to understand what your position, sometimes it's very helpful to understand what your position is in contradistinction to what your position is not.
If I'm
Okay?
not able to know, and then you're saying God
Can I
reveals to
finish,
me,
please?
how would I know God reveals? Okay, go ahead.
I'm trying to walk you through something, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
Your position is the world around me, everything in it, including your self-consciousness, doesn't reveal God. So what you're saying is that these things individually and collectively can be invoked as being actual, having identity and intelligibility as is without reference to the necessity of God. Okay, I'm going to take your word for it, but you need to explain to me how they possess actuality and intelligibility God free. Are they absolute in and of themselves or are they derivative?
I'm not sure. I'm not that well versed, to be honest
Well,
with you.
then your claim that the world doesn't reveal God is an empty claim.
Okay. How would I, if I'm not able, if I don't have the intelligibility or the basis for intelligibility, if this is being revealed to me at that point, then how would I, like
All right,
come to the realization of that intelligibility then?
look.
Like
When
how
you
would I
say when you say the world doesn't reveal God, that's the same thing as you saying there's no evidence for God. Well, can you
right.
demonstrate that?
Can I demonstrate there's no evidence for God? In
Yeah.
the same way that I can demonstrate that there's no evidence for a unicorn or anything else. Yeah.
Oh, well, what answer we actually can, because if we could say through the principle of the absence of evidence is evidence of absence in some cases, that if unicorns did exist, what we would expect to find is that given the fact that we have covered the entire globe now, there are not really much any unreached places, that if unicorns did exist, what we would expect to find is that there would be some reliable sightings, and in the absence of them we can conclude rationally that they don't exist. Now
Agree.
if you want to apply that to God, then you're going to have to tell me what the evidence would be that you would expect to see if there was a supreme being, creator God, that is missing. So what is the missing evidence, sir?
Oh, what I would expect if there was a creator God. Let's
By the
see.
way,
And
and
it
I
this
would
the
wouldn't
have to
evidence
be
expect everybody speaking for him.
necessary, not
it's going to have to
preferential.
be yeah, it's going to have to be necessary rather than preferential, because I could just simply say, well, if there was a God, I would expect a bag of $100,000 of filled with money be left on my front doorstep on Friday morning. But
Well, it depends on.
that would be preferential. So here's your mission should you choose to accept it.
Mhm.
What is the evidence that you would expect to see if a creator
That
existed
you
that
would
you say is
necessarily see.
that you would necessarily see that you say is missing?
That we would necessarily see that I say is missing. I mean, you could say a creator exists and created everything, but you could also say it doesn't and have pretty
No,
much.
sir, you're going to have to tell me what you would necessarily expect to see in order to fulfill the absence of evidence as evidence of absence in some cases. Let me repeat that.
Mhm.
You're going to need to tell me what you would necessarily see when you deploy the absence of evidence as evidence of absence in some cases.
I'm not sure. I'd have to.
Well, then
Within.
therefore, then your claim that there's no evidence for God is an empty, unsubstantiated claim.
Yeah, but if you see everything is evidence for God, then nothing's evident, right? I mean, how are you?
No,
What are you
sir. No,
comparing it to?
no. Let me explain something to you. Either every individual discrete states of affairs or entities, they will either be indicative and revelatory of the eternal, meaning God by his purpose, or not. It's a true dichotomy. And so
Okay, so you're saying God.
you're taking the not position.
Okay, well,
What you're saying is these things can be invoked
are we talking
with
about Christian God or God, like just a God here?
well, it makes no difference because the only creator God that would be worthy of even discussing is the Christian God.
Okay.
But you, sir, being an unbeliever, you're not limiting yourself to the Christian God. You're not accepting that there is an eternal absolute that is the creator, supreme being, and creator of all things and not himself. Am I correct on that?
I guess you could say that, sure.
Okay.
Um,
By the way, listen, let me just give you a compliment. We've been talking for some time and we haven't been agreeing on a whole lot of things, but I do appreciate your cordiality.
yeah.
And, we get an inordinate number of trolls, and it's nice to talk with somebody like you who's really going the extra mile to try to be intelligent.
Thank you. I just try to be honest. That's all. I'll be honest with you. I'm not this well versed in a lot of this, so like you are talking over my head a little bit with a lot of things, but I'll
Well,
just
if
be
any
honest.
time you say I don't understand, then just explain it to me.
Well, that's how I understand is by listening.
Okay,
You
what I'm
could.
trying to explain to you is that most unbelievers aren't well researched in this, and even certain many professional philosophers that are atheists, are not well studied in this line of biblical apologetics, and
Right.
so they just throw out these empty cliches. Like, for example, there was one professional philosopher um, by the name of what is his name? Um, uh, Doctor Professor Stephen Law. Okay, he's an adamant atheist, and he's actually debated one of the preeminent Christian apologists in the world today, William Lane Craig.
Mhm.
And when I had my opportunity to question him, I said, "Can you please explain to me why there's no God?" He spent 15 minutes dodging and tap dancing and evading. And then the second half of that interaction, he decided that he was going to be sleazy and personally attack me rather than defend his view that there's no God. After having admitted early on that his position is there is no God, but then all he wanted to do was talk about a God who might be maximally benevolent. I said, but that's not your position. That's global. That's local atheism, not global atheism. So even some of these professional philosophers who in their own respect, they're extremely intelligent, highly educated, and I'm sure if I took some of their courses and read their books, I would learn a lot about philosophy, undoubtedly. But even they are um, um, say things as silly and as stupid as teenage atheists do. Okay.
Yep.
I have one thing that I find that I think is kind of evidence against God, as far as like the Christian God, is I think sin existing itself is kind of evidence against God's nature. Like, why
No,
would God?
that's
Yo, shout out to James Stone and
to defend the claim that it's
Yandro
evidence against it. You're just asking a
for
question.
the subscribe or whatever.
Why would
Mhm.
God create beings whom he know he
Appreciate it.
would sin? But that
Oh,
is a non sequitur. Do you know what a non sequitur is?
sure. It goes against his nature, though, is what I'm saying, though.
No, no, no. Well,
Mhm.
not according to the God of the Bible. So you just made that up out of thin air.
Okay, so
Well, duh.
Why is it against God's nature if he creates agents where some of them may rebel? Why is that against his nature?
well, I think it's against his nature to create in the first place something that he knows sin would come from.
How does that's a naked assertion? You need to back that up.
What do you mean?
Well, when you say it's against his nature to create something that he knows in advance will rebel against him, how's it against his nature?
Because because he doesn't like sin. He can't stand sin, correct?
Well, so what? I mean, do you have children?
Sure.
Did you know that when you decided to have children, that when they are minors, that they will probably disobey you, and potentially they might, uh, when they become older as teenagers or young adults, they could cause you no end to grief and sorrow. But you decided to have them anyway, right?
Right. But I had a need and a desire to have kids. God
No,
doesn't have.
you don't have a need to have children.
Yeah, I do. I have a desire to.
But yeah, you're conflating need with desire. The
Okay.
point, the
Yeah, I
point, the
guess.
point, the
Yeah.
point is, listen. The point is, you're just throwing out one cliche after another. These are really not substantive lines of reasoning against the existence of God or the God of the Bible.
I disagree. I
Mm-mm.
think it's.
Well, give me a substantive defense that God doesn't exist. I'm waiting.
Well, that's what I'm giving you. He created that would produce of which he doesn't like,
That,
and
that
he could
that's
have
that's a
chose.
that's a non sequitur.
Could he create differently?
You're not listening to me. Do you know what a non sequitur
Go ahead, tell me.
means? It means it does not necessarily follow.
It doesn't necessarily follow that. Sure, I
Duh.
guess it doesn't necessarily follow, but it is against his nature.
Well, says who? You?
Well, sure, in my
Well,
opinion.
here. Okay. Well, here's the problem.
Mhm.
If there are truth claims that actually possess the truth value of true, it will either be true because it originates in the mind of God and it's commensurate with the mind of God or not. So what you're telling me is there's a true proposition. It's true, but not in virtue that it doesn't derive, nor is it commensurate with the mind of God. So what is your ultimate reference point to make any truth claim if it is not the mind of God?
Well, I'm just referencing what I read in the Bible,
Yeah,
and
you're
it,
not answering my. That was a complete dodge. Okay,
what
so
do you? Okay.
in the Christian worldview, God is the source of everything other than
Sure.
himself, and that includes truth. So whatever is truth, like for example, right now I'm holding a piece of plastic in my hand. Okay,
Hmm.
I'm holding an invention in my hand. Right
Hmm.
now, the truth of this originated in the mind of God. Okay, there's nothing that is okay, or has come to be or will come to be that did not originate in the mind of God, okay, and
Hmm.
that also derives and depends upon the mind of God. But that's not something that you accept.
Yo, shout out to the 2 viewers watching. Shout out.
Really, is not your ultimate reference point for any truth claims. So, what is the final reference point for any truth claim that you make, since it is not the mind, the person, the being of God?
I don't know. You're over my
Well,
pay grade.
therefore, when you say that there's a truth claim that X is incompatible with Y with respect to God, it's not commensurate with the mind of God. So you don't have any ultimate reference point as to why anything is true. You just say it's true because you say so.
Well, because of experience too.
No, sir, you're not. I don't think you're getting this. Okay,
Mhm.
things are true in the Christian worldview because they originate in the eternal character and mind of God. So consequently, God himself cannot exude or invoke falsehood. Okay, he's always truth revealing. But and so we can say something is true because God said it, right? Now, obviously, you don't accept that. But then what you're saying is something is true not because it derives from the eternal character and mind of God. It's true because you say so.
I guess I'm not understanding.
You
No, okay, so you're not making a truth claim in virtue that it's commensurate with the mind of God. So you're saying something is true because you say so.
Um,
Okay, the God of the Bible makes it very clear that what he permits to come to pass, even things that is not a part of his permissive will, is compatible with his character. In other words, that he permits rebellion. but you say it's incompatible. Well, by what standard do you say that? By
By,
what standard do you make this truth claim?
by the standard in the Bible. By
No,
reading.
sir. Because, no, the Bible nowhere says that when Adam and Eve decided that they would be autonomous, that their choosing to be autonomous and rebel against God is incompatible with the character of God. It is compatible. Let me just phrase this so it's worded correctly. It is compatible with the nature of God because the nature of God permits them to do so. It's incompatible with his moral character, but it's not incompatible with his ontological character. So when you say that Adam and Eve were rebelling in their heads first before they ate the fruit, you're saying it's ontologically inconsistent with it's inconsistent with the ontological nature with God. Well, the Bible doesn't say that.
Sin is.
So where does the Bible say that people rebelling is incompatible with his ontological nature versus his moral nature?
Well, I think it's kind of insinuated with sin, saying that sin is bad, or you
Yeah,
don't get in.
we're just going around in circles here. All
Right.
you're just simply saying is that human rebellion is incompatible with uh, God's character in some way. Okay. Well, you haven't demonstrated. It's just because you say so.
Well, I mean, the fact you don't get into heaven from sin. I mean,
You're not
doesn't
think
that
you're not
mean
you're not you're
that's
not you're yeah. It's incompatible with God's moral character.
right?
Right. But you see, something can be incompatible. God in his being can allow something to choose to rebel to be incompatible with his moral disposition. But that doesn't mean that it's inconsistent with the totality of his ontology, his nature of being.
Darth, may
Okay.
I attempt to word it differently to him?
Go ahead.
So right, effectively what we're talking about at this point, right? And because and the original bit with it Darth was going through, right? You're appealing, okay, to the standard of God, also admitting you don't know the full standard of God. So to claim it would be counter his nature is not only denying the chronological right chain and set of events that we have here, right? The very basis in which that sin comes about is based on an endowment already by an objectively benevolent creator, right? How is it benevolent, right? Well, it's benevolent in essence if because if we look at the counter, well, for me to be able to go and be able to sin, I need to be able to do that based off my own volition, my own free will, right? Well, a controlling tyrant is malevolent in nature, right? Is control. Well, God was the opposite of that. He gave us the ability to make our own choices in a malevolent gesture, right, toward His creation. With that choice, we decided to go against Him, right? That doesn't counter His nature. Therefore, sin existing, right, isn't counter to His creationary ontology, as you stated, right? It doesn't go against. It's difficult to explain it, but do you understand what I'm saying? So, a benevolent act being that which is the antecedent to the thing that you now are claiming is what makes him not benevolent doesn't follow, right? There's a. Do you understand?
Yeah, but he could have created it differently, correct?
Yeah, but you see, your
Then he would
scenario
have had to
just
control us.
what you're doing then is it's like you
That's
saying,
a
well,
real question.
God only creates those beings that he know will obey him, and that he doesn't create those who if he had made them, he would know they were rebel. Well, that makes them indistinguishable from robots then. Okay. Look,
Can you?
the point is this
Oh.
is you have no defense for challenging the existence of God. You have no defense for denying the existence of God, the character of the God of the Bible. All you have is what I call the figment of your imagination. Now, if your critiques, if your attempts at falsification are true and correct, I want to know how they are true and not simply the figment of your imagination. What is your ultimate reference point?
My ultimate reference. Are you saying like where do I start presupposing things? Is that what you're saying?
Well, if I say to you 2 plus 2 is 4, or if I say, the Antarctica is on top of the world, whatever I claim, my ultimate reference point is going to be the mind of God, both chronologically and contemporarily. Because all in the Christian worldview, all truth ultimately derives and depends upon the mind of God, chronologically or contemporarily. But you see, God is not your ultimate reference point for truth claims. Now, when you make certain truth claims like sin or rebellion is incompatible with some aspect of God's nature, and then you try to use that as a falsifier or a defeater, it's still a truth claim. So, is that truth claim a figment of your imagination?
Possibly.
No, sir. Yeah, then,
Well,
then,
no,
it's,
I mean,
then
I
if
guess
it
I would say the laws of
okay, twisted. Listen to
I
me.
would say I count on the laws of nature
Twisted.
to remain
Do
the
you
way
ever do you ever do you ever watch Pawn Stars?
Pawn Stars. Yeah, I used to.
Yeah, it's a good show. Do you know how many times people have brought in what might seemingly be
Oh yeah.
a genuine thing, and they'll bring the experts in, and the guy says, "Well, I
No.
don't see anything that definitively shows that it's false, but we need further information, some type of a provenance or whatever to show that it is John Wayne's cowboy hat or
Right.
whatever." And so, the expert, and this happens almost on every episode, the expert will say, well, it could be the real thing, but it could not be. And does how often does Rick, the owner of the store, buy these items? Well, almost never.
Right.
So when you say, well, it could be the figment of your imagination, well, then therefore, if then you're just taking a crapshoot that it might be true. Okay, so that
I'm just answering honestly.
it
I mean,
it
it
doesn't.
could be.
Well, you want to know something? I could just start
Is
making up.
that you? Is this me? Man, I was about to make a joke. I can't even talk, dude.
Hold on a second. I'll just
I'm
sit
an
there and
idiot.
say, well, you
Ignore
keep
me.
on disagreeing with me
I was gonna
because
say a Full
there
Metal
are some
Jacket joke.
aliens
John
a
Wayne.
long ways, and they've developed a special technology
I'm an
ray beam
idiot.
to manipulate human beings just for the fun of it
Just let
on
Darth
Earth,
Dawkins talk.
and they're just messing with your brain right now with their long away signals. Well, it could be true.
Or it could be God. Got him.
Daddy
No,
Darth Dawkins.
no. God doesn't exude falsehood. All I'm just simply saying is you're just throwing out one cliched line of thinking another because you don't want to repent of your autonomy. That's all we're dealing with here. Okay,
Excuse me, Darth
everything that
Dawkins.
comes out of your mouth is simply to preserve and protect your autonomy. But here's the problem: when you don't accept the existence of God, and specifically the Christian God, at that moment, you and every other unbeliever are proclaiming that your would-be autonomy of mind. But the idea of would-be autonomy of mind is not coherent. It's not coherent at all because there's nothing that is identifiable or defensible that grounds as to what human reason is. You see, in the Christian worldview, our mental capacities, our even ability to be agents, is derivative. So, for example, if I'm a rational agent, I can refer to myself as the rational. And in the Christian worldview, us being the rational is derivative of what is eternal, the eternal rational. Okay? So in the Christian worldview, I'm only rational by virtue that my rationality is gifted, it's begotten of God, because He is the eternal, the rational. But when you reject that, I want to know how, in a world where there is nothing identifiable or defensible as to what dictates what anything is, how are you rational or the rational? What's the basis for the claim that you are a rational being? What instantiates that you are a rational being, other than you can claim it?
I'm
Yo,
not sure
Darth Dawkins.
the evidence around me.
No, you're not understanding evidence. Well, first of all, you have a choice. You can either believe that everything that is not God is implemented and sustained by God according to his purpose, or you can believe in determinism, or you will believe in just a simply a pure happenstance of everything that's happening in the world, or a mixture of the two. If you choose either of those three options, determinism, happenstance, or a combination of the two, either one of those three things, each of which it will destroy the actuality of rationality. The only way that you can be in possession of rationality is if it is gifted to you by what is ultimate, absolute, the eternal, meaning God, and he is the rational that exudes and gifts you with rationality. Deny that, you have no basis to claim that you possess rationality.
If I'm not rational, how would I recognize it then?
Okay, well that's not the issue. The issue is you do accept that you exude rationality, but you see what instantiates that. Well, in the Christian worldview, we have God who is the eternal, who instantiates that. But when you reject that, when you reject God as creator, and specifically the Christian God, you are proclaiming your own mental autonomy. Your mental autonomy is also the claim that you are rational. Well, how are you the rational? Based upon what? That you got nothing. You're playing poker and you have no matching cards, but you're pretending like you have a full house.
Oh, it's just like I never said I had fuel. I've never been
No,
playing like
sir, I'm
God
trying to
fuel.
explain to you. Listen, I'm trying to
Yeah,
explain to
dude.
you. I'm trying to explain to you that when you do not accept that God, who is the eternal, who is the rational that creates this world, that everything originates from the rational, then you're claiming that you are the rational without deriving from God, the rational. So how are you rational? Well, the answer is you have nowhere to turn. You're making an empty claim. Your
Am I
mental
right?
autonomy is a your mental autonomy is a baseless claim to be the rational, isn't it?
So I'm not the. Can you say it one more time so I can write it down and I'll
Your
actually read
your
it?
your claim to be mentally autonomous and to possess rationality, that rationality is constitutive of you. But the question is, how are you rational?
Okay.
So you reject that what is the eternal is the rational that begets you, right? Where God makes you in some way to be like himself, the rational. You reject that. So I want to know as how are you the rational? What, because you say so?
I guess at this point maybe I don't know.
No, but
What I'm
do
gonna do is
you
I'm gonna.
understand? Do you understanding one of the proofs for God is that when you deny him, you can have no proof or reason for anything, nor can you claim to be a person who has reason.
Okay. What I'm
Do
gonna
you
do
think
is.
do you think God you think God would make it easy for you to deny him? No, he didn't. But you see, the problem is many Christians in their apologetics, they don't take seriously enough what God has revealed and stand on it and derive questions and analysis based upon what God reveals. And when somebody like you comes along, and I don't mean any disrespect to you, but comes along and makes counterclaims, many Christians don't, they're not
Yep,
assertive
everyone
enough
needs
to
their
say,
daily
no,
dose
you're
of
just
Dawkins.
making statements that are figments of your imagination. I could just simply say, good, prove it.
Welcome. God
If I
bless you too,
present to you
bro.
God, if I present to you God's revelation, if I present to you the Bible as God's word, your idea is prove it, prove it. But you see, you're making counterclaims that you are you're mentally autonomous. Okay, well, prove it.
Prove it, bro. Prove
Okay.
it.
Your standard is that either the mind of God is autonomous and your mind isn't, and your mind is derivative, or the alternative is that you're autonomous and God is not. God just simply is not there. Okay, so I want you're taking an alternative position. Okay, was that proven to you?
I feel like it is somewhat, but
How is it proven that you are a rational being? What and how instantiates you being a rational being?
I guess
What are you going to
I
say?
guess
It's an emergent property of evolution? Good luck with that.
no, I wouldn't go that deep yet. I'm
Good.
actually
Then
gonna research
how are
this.
you a mentally autonomous rational being?
How
How
I
is that?
feel like I am is By evidence of people around me not saying, "Hey, you're
No,
some irrational
no,
idiot."
no, 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 no,
Like,
no, no, sir.
uh,
That's begging the question. I want to know ontologically
oh, I don't
what
know.
in well then your defiance of God is to claim that you are autonomous. But now your claim to being autonomous, okay,
Mhm.
your claim to being rational without reference to God, your claim to being mentally autonomous without God is, ready for this? Your claim is based upon, and I'm going to quote you, I don't know.
Right.
So your counterclaim to the revelation of God of himself in creation and in the Christian scriptures, that he is the autonomous mind and you are not. Your counterclaim is, no, God, I'm autonomous based upon I don't know. And you said it. I didn't. You said it.
Well,
Twisted.
based
Just
on
tell me
evidence.
presuppose it.
Well, no, I know he wants me to get into presuppositions, but I
Yeah,
already said earlier I don't want to
Scott.
do that.
Yeah, whenever somebody says something like that, it tells me right away you do not understand biblical presuppositionalism. And in fact, there are in the past, going back probably a number of decades, there are even some theologians who had far greater familiarity with Cornelius Van Til's presuppositional writings, who made the mistake that that's what he was just saying. Well, we just presuppose it. That's not biblical presuppositionalism.
Then claim it was.
And why did you just say just presuppose?
Because it'll shut you up.
Well, no, I know I
No,
could
no,
say
it doesn't. Then you're just trolling. You're not saying anything of substance.
Yeah, you're not trying to have the conversation. Another way as well, Darth. Remember that what you're talking about, right, is a thing that instantly it stops it dead, right? And remember when you claim that you have a separate conscious mind, even from God, you have to remember science is yet to prove the antecedent to even going toward you as an autonomous individual, autonomous from God entirely. That claim, for that to even be made, you would need a basis, a foundation, right, that would allow to even show that. We don't even have a inherent biological connection to the conscious mind yet, right?
Yeah. So what we're saying is this: is if you're going to invoke a state of affairs that's going to
Sixth
be
Amendment.
true, and it's going to be actual and intelligible, it's either going to be in virtue that it derives from the autonomous mind of God, or not. So your whole claim is that you can reason about things, you can predicate, you can make truth statements without referencing the necessity of God. I'm saying, okay, fine, prove it. You see, if I say to you that God is and that God's revealed himself, included in me saying that, I'm saying is God is the ground of all being, that reason, truth, and for that matter, the basis of proof or anything derives and depends upon the mind, the character of God, and that he reveals that he exists and that he's the ultimate reference point. But you say, prove it. But what what happens is when we present an objective case defending the existence of God, you just go, But your position, which is the negation of the God world, that hasn't been proven, right? You don't operate the very criterion that you use to dismiss God. You say prove it, but you see your position of autonomy hasn't been proven. So why are you adopting autonomy if it hasn't been proven? It's because you don't want God to exist. That's why you're adopting autonomy.
Yo, Darth Dawkins,
Okay.
I have a question.
Who has an open mic in here? Because if I catch you, I'm going to server mute you.
I think it's Spidey, but I don't know.
Spidey. Okay.
It
So
was
the
good
point,
talking to you, man.
the point is, unbelievers have a very poor understanding of their own position. They think that the physical world around them is just a given, and that God is just presented as an overlay. But
Yep.
that's not what we're presenting. What we're saying is that the everything around us can't even be put on the table unless it uh, directly or indirectly references God as the ultimate reference point. Otherwise, not only would nothing exist, nothing would even be meaningful, right? Now, on the other hand, you reject that and you want to say, well, there's this array of states that are they're just a given. Well, why are they a given? Prove it.
No, see,
but
the
they don't do
difference is
that. Go
sorry,
ahead.
let you done. We just don't find any of your arguments persuasive or useful.
That's
And so we just don't.
that's an atheist cliche, and we've been through this before. But I'll
Well,
be glad to go through it
it's
again.
a fact.
That is a atheist cliche that is said all the time. When you say we're unconvinced, pregnant within that statement is that there are certain fundamental parameters that you're speaking and operating out of that are just a given, such as the natural physical world, right?
In some cases,
Now,
sure.
okay, so you're unconvinced of the God world. What convinced you of the not God world? I'm waiting, Scott.
I'm thinking.
Okay, take your time.
What convinced me the not God world? Nothing really.
Okay, so
I,
now what you've done
I
is you
don't see a
stepped
need.
up.
I don't see a need for it.
Yeah, okay, so Scott, you stepped up the plate and you said, look, we're just unconvinced of your position.
Yes.
But the position that you're operating and speaking from, you are holding to it in violation of your criterion of belief, aren't you?
I don't think so.
Oh, no, definitely. Do you dismiss the God world because you're unconvinced?
Yes.
What convinced you of the not God world?
Nothing.
That's the default setting, though. The
You see,
non that's
you've
the
just been
default
cornered by,
setting.
you see,
No,
what you
not really.
decided to do, hold on, what you decided to do, all right, hold on a second. What you decided to do was invoke a typical atheist slogan where you're pretending to be a neutral bystander, that the world around you is just a given and God is an overlay. But that's not the God world. The God world is not that God is just simply an overlay that he may or may not be there over the physical world that you are a resident of, okay? So when you say I'm unconvinced of the God world, do you use that same criterion when you adopt the not God world?
I don't see why I would need to.
Because then you're being then your criterion is in arbitrary usage in order to evade God.
That's not why I do it. I don't. I
Okay.
don't wake up in the. I don't wake up in the morning seeking to evade God.
Sir, listen to me.
Okay.
There's only two possible worlds. There's the God world and the not God world. You have communicated to us that you have a standard that must be fulfilled in order for you to believe in a worldview. Your standard is that you need to be convinced of, you need to be being given rational justification and or evidentiary support for the God world. And in the absence of such, you will dismiss it. Have I correctly assessed your position?
I guess sure.
Good. Now, what is the evidentiary support or rational justification that the not God world is true? I want to see if you're following your own rule.
Yeah.
See, this is what happens. This is what happens when you use atheist slogans.
I know. This is what happens when you follow a script and someone else doesn't want to
You
follow
see,
your script.
and you see what you just said is a script right there. That's a typical scripted response when you can't answer my question. So what you just gave is a script.
Wouldn't you need to be convinced to be
Hold on a second. I'm not done. I'm not done with Scott. No, what you just gave is a scripted response because you can't answer the question. Okay. Do you hold on a second. Let me mute this
Why would
guy.
I want to answer it?
You're just not responding like a grown man. You're just responding like a 13-year-old at the cafeteria table. Okay. Which stop okay, one all right, 1D, you're muted. Now, does your criterion of belief apply to both worlds? Both worldviews?
You muted me.
I don't think of the world in worldviews.
Well, then you don't have you don't have the luxury.
He's getting triggered
because there are that's the two worldviews. When we talk about God, we're talking about the God worldview. Okay? The reason why you don't want to talk or characterize this scenario as worldviews is because you want me to adopt one of your beliefs that the physical natural world
Yeah,
is
I know.
simply a given and God is
Yeah, I know, dude. I know he muted me, dude. Congrats. I'm aware of that. I know, dude.
that type of scenario. I've already given you all the tools that you need to ground your unbelief. Now, what I'm asking you is this: you do not accept the God worldview. Now,
Correct.
do you use your criterion of belief? Does it apply to both worldviews?
Apply to. I only have one worldview. What is the other
Sure,
worldview that you apply to?
you're playing dumb now, which is a script.
It's not a script, man.
Then I'll repeat the question again. You have a criterion of belief that in order to adopt a worldview, you need for there to be a proof or evidentiary support. Okay. Does your
Yes.
rule apply to both worldviews?
I don't agree with you that there are two worldviews.
Oh, what's the third option?
There's not third. There's only one. There's
So
a
the
world in
God
which
worldview and the not God
What?
worldview are the
there's a
same
world.
worldview.
There's a world in which you have evidence for a belief.
Yeah, you're
God,
what you're
God,
doing
God
is
is God is a belief.
what you
I
are
have no
doing
evidence
is this
that
what
God
you're
believes.
doing is a scripted response that you would get from a teenager. You're
It's
not making
scripted.
sense at all. Okay. The bottom line here is this. Let me ask you this question. Do you accept the laws of logic?
I use them all the time. Yes.
Okay, so there we have the law of identity, A equals A, and then we have the law of non-contradiction, A cannot equal or coexist with not A, and then we have the law of excluded middle. Something is either A or not A. Do you accept the law of excluded middle?
Sure.
Okay, all I've done then when I talk about the God world versus the not God world, all I've done is filled in a value for A with respect to the law of excluded middle. So you don't have the luxury now of denying. Okay, so
Sure.
either okay, so you have therefore we only have two possible worlds: the God world and the not God world. Do you apply your criterion of belief for both worldviews?
I don't think there's the same criteria for a not
Okay,
claim and
we're done. We're done. Thank you for wasting our time. All right, we're gonna
Darth,
move on.
what is the law of
So
excluded middle based
what?
on?
Okay, hold on a second.
Whoa.
So this is what this guy did. He wants to come to
Darth,
the
he was
table
saying
like
no. He was saying no, he doesn't apply the same criteria to both.
he said that.
I think he was starting to say that, and you thought he wasn't answering.
Oh, okay. So let me give him the benefit
I think
of
he
the
was
doubt.
going to say something. He was going to dress it up though, like he was going to say, "I don't
All
see
I
why
want to
there's a
know
need
is,
for the same
do
criteria."
you apply your criterion of belief, your standard? Does it apply to both worldviews?
Do my nuts apply to your mouth?
no.
Got it? Okay, good. Then there's no point in talking with you because now you're just being
Bro.
arbitrary. And the only reason why you would be arbitrary is because you are in rebellion against God. So we're done. Okay? So you're just
So-
following us. So you're just following a scripted response of an atheist who is a bitter clinger to your autonomy of reason, your would-be autonomy, and you don't have a justification for your would-be autonomy. Okay? It's
But
that
I'm
simple.
not bitter.
Darth, real
I'm not-
quick.
I'm not
What's the
bitter.
justification? What's the
Hold on.
justification
Womp,
for
please
bitter.
wait.
worldview?
Womp, please wait.
I'm
So
not bitter.
Scott, either the mind of God is, and his mind is autonomous, and our minds are not, they're derivative. And the only other alternative is that your mind is autonomous, meaning your mind just is, it operates in some basic operation
Yes.
without deriving it depending on the mind of God. So
That
you
is what I
reject
believe.
the note. Right. Okay. So now, what is the evidentiary support or rational justification that your would-be autonomy is coherent? What is the ontological basis for your mental reasoning faculties?
Never thought about it.
So you don't have a justification for it, do you?
No.
Good, then we're done. Okay.
Don't know why I need
So
one.
there. So
Why would I need one?
why? Because you told me
If
that
you don't want to be
No,
rational,
we're done.
You told me
Bye
that
bye.
you were using your reason.
Bye bye,
and you
scumbag.
have to reason by being convinced that God exists. So you are claiming to be a rational person when you do that. But now you're abandoning it. Now you're just saying is you don't have a justification for reason at all. So why do I need to give you a reason to convince you that God exists when you don't have reasoning faculties?
So you're asking me to give you a reason why I
We're
think I
we're
reason?
we're done. You want to know why, Scott? Is because what you're just doing is
We're
a
done, dude.
scripted response. 1 minute you played dumb, then the next minute you played
Outta
dodgeball,
here.
then the next minute you rabbit trail. Look, I've heard the scripted response from atheists. Okay, so we're gonna move on. Womp, you wanted to say something.
It's suicide by mod.
How do you justify the law of the excluded middle, or do you just presuppose it?
Whatever fundamental laws of logic that I have, there are going to be justified, grounded, and rooted in God's creative and revelatory actions. He has made us to think in a foundational way that we cannot otherwise jettison.
But how does that justify the law of the excluded middle?
The law of everything is justified and has its root in the mind of God and his revelatory and creative actions.
So the law of the excluded middle seems to me to be a reduction into binary thinking. Yes or no, right?
Yeah, and
I don't think it's justified. I think that
can you
what it does is it takes complexity and it breaks it down into a conclusion, right? A conclusion that's probably wrong.
Can you give me an example of something that is an exemplar? Or that's redundant. Can you give me an example of something that can both be A and not A?
Well, A and not A are not ontologically similar, right?
No,
Not
I'm
A,
asking
not
you.
A,
Can you give me something?
Hold on, Darth.
You're
Hold
not.
on.
You're not. No, I'm not going to hold on. I'm used to this dodgeball game. What was the question that I asked you?
Dodgeball.
You asked me if I can give you an example where the law of the excluded middle would not apply.
Yeah,
But
give me
and
an
not
example of
A,
something that is both
and
A
not
and
A.
not A.
Hold on, I'm trying to answer you. A and not A are not ontologically similar. Not A is always an infinite set, whereas A is always a finite set.
Where did you get this notion that something is infinite?
Not A, right? So not blue is everything else, right? It's an infinite set.
No, where did you get that it's infinite?
How can it be infinite without blue?
So
No,
the things that are not that are not Darth Dawkins are infinite in number, correct?
Well, first of all, David Hilbert, one of the greatest mathematicians of the 20th century, wrote a paper on infinities. He said infinities are nowhere to be found; they just serve as an idea in mathematics.
But the set of all things that are not Darth Dawkins is an infinite set.
Then you're just talking
the number of things that aren't
then you're
Darth
talking then you're talking about an abstraction, not something that's concrete. We're talking about concrete things. Can you give me a concrete example of something that is both A or not A?
A and not A cannot be compared because they're not ontologically
You're
similar.
not. You're listen to me. You are just repeating yourself, and you're dodging my question. Can you give me a concrete one example, just one example of something that is concrete that is either both A or not A, and you just need to fill in the value for A?
Schrodinger's cat.
No, sir. That has to do with our perception, our ability to measure things. Okay.
But they say the cat is both dead and not dead until you open the box and find out which one it is, right?
But that has nothing to do with its ontological status. Just simply saying that it's both is not coherent. The bottom line here is we only have. By the way, are you an atheist? Are you an atheist, sir?
Silent
Hello?
mode.
My mic working? Mic check?
Yep.
He doesn't want to answer that because then he would need to justify.
Yeah. What he wants to play is these little sophomore, mental gymnastics.
Yo, what's up,
games.
Illuminator?
Yeah, well, I've heard this script before.
What's up, bro?
And by the way, his infinite thing is just not true, because if I say I have everything and I have not everything, then it's not infinite, obviously.
And a lot of this is based off quantum mechanics and the double slit experiment, the quantum eraser.
Don't you love it when they appeal to quantum mechanics? It's laughable. It's laughable because you couldn't even talk about quantum mechanics if you weren't applying the laws of logic.
Like it's fundamentally yeah. And not only that, you can't decide that it isn't, like, you can't just say as well that, okay, you don't know whether the cat's dead or whether or not before you open the box, like the double slit experiment, right? Is it a particle or is it a wave function?
No,
Well,
we could just simply say that things appear to be what they are as we measure them, not
yeah,
what they are in and of themselves.
yeah, of course. But I'm just saying that he's conflating something with that. That's all. In his mind, I don't know if it's on purpose, but
Yeah,
that
he
was
does
in.
seem to
No,
be confused.
what we're just saying is we're just seeing one unbeliever after another do very poor mental gymnastics in order to continue to run from God, because nothing that they comes out of their mouth, which is an objection to the existence of God and his revelation of himself in creation and history, is anything that they can sustain. Okay?
Mr. Straight is Mr. Straight. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I got him.
Darth, have you considered adding more mods to your room? Like,
Oh,
you
here
know,
comes Rami, the
get some guys
salami.
to help you out.
Well, first of all, we've been in here for a couple of hours and we've had little to no problems.
Right, I
So
know, but
I have requested that. Okay.
yeah, I
And
mean,
it's
add
it's
me.
it's
I'll help
it,
you. You know, like I'll stick around and help you if I can
well.
listen to
Send
you.
a message to Square.
Rami.
Tell them that I said it's okay for you to be a mod.
The Square?
The Square.
Square, who's
What
one of
the
the
hell,
founders.
dude? What type
Square
of name is
took
that,
home
dude? The
tap
Square?
yellow now.
Okay, I'll send him a message.
Hey, bro, my name's Square.
All right, I'm gonna take a break so you guys can continue discussion.
Unmute me.
And have fun.
Unmute me.
Right.
Is he gonna unmute me? He's
No,
not
dude.
gonna unmute me? Yo, Illuminator, get him to unmute me, dude.
The double slit experiment.
Game
doesn't
start.
whether it's like particle.
Game start.
It's like dependent on
Illuminator.
I know.
actually observe
I
it.
didn't get to get into it. That's the point. But would you observe?
Alright, I gotta get out of here now, cause I'll come back eventually. I'm gonna go on my friend's server.
Yeah, I could-
Cause look, I'm muted here. Look, I'll scroll up on me, and you guys can't see. 3 people watching me. Darth Dawkins will eventually be back, you know. But if you want to see this, look, I'm muted. I got muted for like, cause I was like laughing about that one guy being a beta male, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I got freaking muted by Darth Dawkins, bro. So, I'm going to thank you 3 viewers for watching, folks. I'm going to go on a different server real quick. Let's see. Boom. Let's see. Okay, well, I don't know if I think I'm just gonna get off until Darth Dawkins gets back on. So I'll probably be back in 30 minutes or an hour. Yeah, he'll probably be back in 30 minutes to an hour. I'm gonna eat some food. So yeah, thanks for watching the stream. I will keep it up so you guys can watch any of the last clips. Yeah, Tyler's is messaging. Yeah, Tyler's a bait. Should I go talk to Tyler's real quick? Yeah, let me go talk to Tyler's. Hey, beta male. Can I invite Illuminator in here? Yeah. Okay, bet. I'm streaming right now. Please don't be a retard. I'm on YouTube. Please don't say what? I'm streaming right now. So please don't be a retard because I was streaming a bunch of Darth Dawkins stuff and I want to like close this video off because it's a good video. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. I invited Illuminator. Oh, whoa. Lights just turned on for no reason. Out of the blue. 3 viewers, dude. That feels epic, dude.
They're all my bot accounts, dude.
They are?
Yeah.
Well, you're watching my stream?
No.
Huh?
Yo, what up?
No, I'm just messing.
I'm the one watching.
I was gonna say because Illuminator is Illuminator's
Yeah, dude.
Illuminator. Did you lose Nitro?
No,
You used
I've
to.
never had it.
What the fuck? I thought you did.
I mean, I used to have it on my other account, but like on this one,
I'm
nah,
about to
dude.
lose Nitro.
Damn, dude. That shit sucks.
It does suck. But it's all good, dude. Hold on.
Yeah, dude.
It's all good. Nitro sucks anyway.
I mean, dude, you should like wait 4 more days. You're not gonna lose it.
What do you mean,
that fast.
wait 4 more days. I'm gonna add like a chat real quick.
Add it.
I gotta add the Twitch chat, you know what I'm saying? Or the YouTube chat.
Yeah, dude. Wait, dude, can you see who's watching you?
If I went on YouTube, yeah, but I'm not doing that.
Dude, I just saw they added like new hashtags on YouTube.
Like what?
I mean, the one with the tag, you know?
You sound retarded, Illuminator.
You sound like a beta.
How do I sound like a beta?
Because of the way you're speaking towards me.
Because of the way I'm speaking to you? Towards you?
Yes.
Wait.
Yes, dude.
Because of the way you're speaking towards me. That doesn't sound right, dude. That sounds weird.
Sound weird.
Huh?
That's normal.
It just sounds so weird how he's saying it, though. You know what I'm saying? He's just saying it so
Yeah, how
weird.
about you stream? How about you stream in Negan server?
No, dude, that's gonna get my YouTube banned, dude.
You're gonna get more people.
I'll get a bunch of people to watch my stuff.
Yeah, dude.
All
You want
right.
me-
Yeah, let's go to Negan.
You want me?
Advertise
You want
my
me to
shit.
tell them? You want me to tell them to watch your stream?
Yeah, tell them all to watch my stream right now.
A bunch of black people.
No,
Yeah,
dude. Not a
Just
bunch
link
of black
it.
people, dude. It's just a bunch of other. It's just a Discord, dude. Yeah, it's not a bunch of black people. It's just a bunch of random Discord people, dude.
Right.
Why are you thinking about black people?
Because all the servers you invite me to.
Yo, what's up, guys? I'm streaming on YouTube right now. Yo, what's up, guys? Yo, Doc. Oh wait. Yo, Zog Morrison. Yo, Zogged out Morrison. Yo, hello?
Alright.
This is a bad idea, dude. This is a bad idea to go on this stream, dude. To go on this server.
It's only on one on mine, too.
Hello? Yo, what's up? Yo, what's up, young sensei? I got 3 viewers right now. Say hi.
What up? Didn't know. Didn't know.
Alright, dude. Thank you, dude. Let's see if Darth Dawkins is.
Yo, let's get this guy banned on Twitch.
Yeah, I'm not on Twitch and I just muted my sound, so hopefully Darth Dawkins is back. Let's see. Where's Darth Dawkins? Darth Dawkins. Oh, maybe he left. I think Darth Dawkins left, boys. I think Darth Dawkins left. I need to eat some food. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten anything all day. I ate like 1 piece of slice. That's nothing, bro. Unless I got locked out, which I don't think I did. Let me just click here. I didn't get locked out or anything. Maybe he's AFK.
He prevents that child rapist from being evil, then he can't pass judgment on him for being evil. So the repercussions of free will are that some people are going to be impacted by that evil. That's just the way it is.
Alternatively, we could have made it so that evil wasn't a thing.
Hold on, does that evil exist in heaven?
Yeah,
I don't
well,
know.
according to
No,
scripture,
let
it
me
does not.
let me
does
let me
free will
let me
happen? Yes.
let me say
There you
something
have
real quick. So I am not the most
Dude, you
knowledgeable or
guys
studied
spelled
on
dab.
this conversation of like God's plan or predestination or predetermination and nothing like that. So to
All right,
be
all
honest,
right, I'll be back.
I
I
am
gotta eat food. I'm
sharing a
trolling. I gotta
false
stop trolling.
gospel
Okay,
with you
I'm
guys
getting
right
into
now,
troll mood,
somewhat.
dude.
Like
I
I'm
gotta
not
eat
even
some
gonna
food,
lie,
dude. I'm sorry.
and I gotta like ask God for
Well, there's plenty of
forgiveness for
arguments
that.
for
But
Calvinism.
ultimately,
no,
Enjoy this random
ultimately,
debate.
I don't. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. So I'm trying to like be as humble as possible and tell you like I don't know everything about God's plan or the Bible, and I understand how there might be frustrations and like misunderstandings maybe because people like me share things that might be false. So just don't listen to everything that I say. Test what I say. All right, that's all I'm gonna say.
Well, can I say
It's a
something
good
real
way to
quick?
cover for yourself for admitting that your God is evil.
Hey, look. We don't need no vitriol because here's the thing. No matter how we feel about it, and I'm quite contentious about the shit, right? No matter how we feel about it, the fact that he's sitting here and apologizing and trying to admit fault and whatnot, give him that fucking much, all right? Don't be fucking rude. Be
Oh my
gracious.
god. You
You
gotta
can
get
get
the
you can
virtue
get
points where
muted.
they're due.
Laughs a lot. You can get muted. Be fucking gracious, regardless of how we feel about it. Be gracious. Come on now, stop it. Don't fucking attack him or beat him up about it. That's fucking hard. Because people who actually believe in God, this shit right here pisses them off. It upsets them to their core. So don't be fucking rude about it, guys. Come on. We're gonna talk
Yo,
about the morality of God and then we're not gonna be fucking gracious. Come on.
I don't
That's
wait,
need
all
to
I'm
be
so
asking.
gracious if
here's the
someone's
I
thing.
going
mean,
to
Here's
admit they
my
worship a
my
God
sole
who allows child
argument.
rape to
you
happen.
can say
Yo,
however you
so
feel about it, but he had enough to say he could be fucking wrong, and I'll give him that fucking much. All right,
Yeah.
that's all I'm
yo,
gonna say.
so
Just give
so
him
so
that.
here's the
Meanwhile,
Just
thing.
give him that.
calling
Ultimately
gay
speaking,
people evil is fine.
Like I don't
Meanwhile,
think
you can
you're
shut up.
I agree with what you said, NTB, and the rest of you all, whoever is chastising him for what he just said, you
Don't
need to
fucking do
sit
that.
down and shut up.
So it's
okay.
pretty much
So
We
like
got
Bernie
anyways,
information
Sanders
about his
being
shit too, but we
individualistic,
anyways,
can
just
continue the
throwing
going
topics and saying he
conversation
doesn't really
without
know more.
referring to him.
going back to what I was saying, right? I don't actually think you were incorrect, right? So, ultimately speaking, everything that happens and has happened is intentional. Nothing happens by accident. So, if there are people who are rapists, right, and child rapists, just because it was planned out, created, thought of, and executed, right? So
But you,
that is particularly where Zasis can say, yeah, like that is immoral because this isn't something that spawned out of the wave.
but you beating a dead horse because he's saying that he might not even understand. That's what I'm telling you, Prince. I agree with the
I
shit that
do.
I agree. But what I'm telling you is he's telling you he's not the one to consult. He might not under fucking
I'm not
stand or he
consulting him.
might have got it wrong.
I'm
That's
not
what I
consulting him.
mean. You
Wait,
know
wait,
what I
wait.
mean?
So wait, I'm not
I'm just
consulting
saying.
him. I'm not
He don't
consulting
know
him.
if he got a wrong interpretation, bro.
No, no,
That's
no.
all I'm saying.
No. I do know if he did because I've studied this. So I'm telling him his
But it ain't
interpretation. If
no
he's question,
point
wait,
coming at
what?
him. That was him saying he's
I,
done with it.
I'm not coming at him, man. Whoa.
Okay,
So,
fuck it.
uh,
Yeah, like you can't
so
understand.
what I'm
Okay.
saying is, I know the scripture. I know exactly whether right or whether or not he was wrong on this matter, and he was wrong, right?
He already
Everything
said
that
that.
has occurred, everything that has had occurred, is because God plans it. There's nothing that can be
Okay, that's
done,
fine. You win.
right, without His consent, execution, planning before the universe was even a universe. So that's what I'm saying. If there's anything in the world that you did not like, right, that is by definition according to his plan. To say it otherwise is actually kind of going against God because there's nothing that can occur without him.
But
We
he's not
know, but
trying to
dude,
have
we
an
Everything
get you.
is
argument with
of
you.
him and through him.
He's not having this
Yeah, he's not
argument.
even arguing with you now. You're arguing with
That's what I'm
nobody. We
saying.
get you. We understand
Shush
what you're
with that.
saying.
Who I'm
We
not
get it. We
arguing.
agree.
I'm explaining the scripture.
He don't want you to.
Be quiet. I'm so sorry. Be quiet. Oh God.
Like Jesus
You're
Christ,
not
why are you guys
getting
so
it
defensive?
because you shadow boxing him, And what he's saying is
I'm not.
he don't want to
have
have a
to argue.
conversation.
I don't have to argue. It's his position. It's
Hey,
his
stop it, bruh,
religion,
up there.
and I
What's his
gave him
name?
some help. But you're somehow crying into your mic. I don't know why.
Oh God, I sound like a gay nerd. I sound like a.
Shut up. Don't come up in here being disrespectful, man. Go ahead, Prince. What you saying?
You muted him.
No, I didn't mute Prince. I wouldn't mute Prince. I didn't mute Prince at all.
One of you did.
I didn't mute him.
I didn't mute him.
I-
We
I-
muted the
Someone muted
The
Prince.
dude that was being disrespectful to Prince. What are you talking about?
Someone muted Prince. That's all I'm saying.
Well, okay. Well, hold on. Let me. Oh, somebody unmuted him. There you go.
Yeah. So again, I have no. This isn't Christian chat, so I'm not arguing about Christianity. I'm just saying
Yeah.
because he is Christian, I want to explain to him what the scripture actually says. Right now, for anybody who's also not Christian, who's curious, that is also my intent. Right, because the scripture, in the Bible, anything that occurs is through God. Meaning, there's not a single you can't even blink an eye, right, and have it not be through God. Every breath you have is through God. So
Every
when
breath you
people,
take, I'll be
when
watching
people,
you.
so if people
Sky Daddy
try
is
to,
watching you.
if people
Oh,
try
can't
to,
you see?
okay, if people try to divorce certain things to like paint God in a more liberal worldview, that's just not the God of the Bible. The God of the Bible, right, has waged war. He has been extremely stern, hard, ruthless on many human beings, flooded the planet. It's not a God that's like, oh well, if you don't like it, sir, I'll just try to take it. I'll try to do better. It's an authoritarian system.
Amen.
So in another example, right? It's like, well, there's another aspect of the Bible. It's like, well, back in the day, there people just grew up, matured, older. It's kind of like a Christian cope for like why, like people got married back younger. Like Mary was 12, right? It's because
What does it say Mary was 12?
It's because around this is around like the period for age historical counts. So in the Bible, right, and even under Islam, right, there's nothing wrong.
You're a buzzkill, dude.
In the Bible, there's nothing wrong with a father shipping
just
his
getting preached to.
10-year-old daughter to get married. That's not against the Bible, right? It's against
Said that.
liberalism. It's against liberalism. So Christians will say, "Oh well, of course, well back then X, Y, Z," and try and make excuses.
Prince, who are you
You're
arguing
making
with?
excuses.
Nobody's made a claim against you or anything. Like, who are you
Wait,
talking
who
to?
is talking? Who is talking?
It's sticking stuff on the wall.
That was Pixel
Yo,
Talk.
man, can you speak a little louder?
No,
Because I'm
don't.
trying to reduce you.
I'm trying to tell you that ain't nobody said nothing for the past 30 minutes.
Yo,
You just been
what's your
monologuing
just
about
tell me your
nothing.
username, bro? Is it Pixel Talk?
I am Pixel Talk. How are you,
Okay,
sir?
thanks, man. I really appreciate it. All right, so you're back to zero. The fuck?
Excuse me? Did you just mute
Hey,
him?
fuck you, buddy.
Yeah, that you
I'm
don't.
just trying to say,
you
leave the
don't
room
mute
for the rest of
people.
us, dingus.
You don't mute people in here.
You can eat
Hey, you
scrambled
guys see
eggs
what's
off my
going on
screen,
in?
big boy. I ain't got time for this. What are you talking about?
He just turned him down.
Can I bring up a new conversation?
Yeah, dude, go ahead.
Please.
Have you guys seen what's going on in China with the protests?
China. No.
Oh yeah, it's epic, dude.
Isn't that wild? That's crazy. They're saying down with Xi Jinping. Like it's crazy.
They're
This was gonna
protesting
come.
all over the
This
place.
revolution was gonna happen at the Apple. Isn't like a
Why
bunch of
get
Apple
muted?
employees is doing it?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so, but more like their families too.
Bro, it's nothing. It's overhyped.
And their families'
What are
family.
they
What do you mean
talking
it's
about?
nothing?
It's
This has
literally
never happened in China in like 20 years.
no. It has.
Thank you, whoever did
With
that.
Prince, yo, who's fucking with Prince?
The last time this kind of thing happened was like Tiananmen Square.
Yo, I'm looking at video of
Tiananmen
it.
Square was the Tiananmen Square was the last big protest, and then it was like well, see, this is with what happened with the banking and everybody's money. That was like the fuel that lit the kindling, right? Because the CCP has been able to keep everybody comfortable enough not to get too fucking upset, and they made enough of a threat not to keep people too upset. But when everybody lost all their money and the banks were closed and told everybody they couldn't get a hold of their cash, people started getting really pissed off. And then people are going to work and being forced to go to work without getting a paycheck, and that's where it starts out with these factory protests. People are really upset right now because they're working and they're being forced to work with no pay.
No, no, no.
But
no.
also,
Yo, man, I'm
also
gonna
the
be honest,
COVID, the
bro.
COVID
I know
lockdown.
this is your room, so
Stop
you might not like
talking.
dissenting
Stop
opinions.
talking.
Wait,
Stop
Prince
talking.
and Yuji are different?
Stop talking. The protest that's going on now, or what's going on with Apple, is the fact that they had a COVID outbreak in the Apple factory, and they have shut it. They've confined them and locked them up. That's what's going
Oh,
on.
sure. But the money thing is what was the kindling, right? Because they've
Yes,
had these
you're right on
lockdowns for the
that.
past 2 years, and
Yes, you
this
are
with the
right.
lockup going up. So now they've got. So essentially, it was like, okay, we've got no money. The government won't let us withdraw our money that is coming from our paychecks. The housing market is being destroyed, right? We have no our freedom of speech is being restricted more than it ever has been, and now we're being all locked up with this COVID thing, and we can't go anywhere without being arrested. It's just boiled over.
Matt,
The government has
Yeah, you are
overstepped
right.
I
horribly.
understand. Can I say this real quick? So I'm fully
No.
understanding this your room, so you can mute me because you might not like what I have to say, but you're just
I
completely
haven't
wrong on
muted
this,
you
man.
once. I haven't
No,
muted you once since you've been in here, buddy.
I'm just trying to say this. You're completely wrong on this. Like the facts that it's just what you're saying is just antithetical to the facts, detail by detail, right?
Okay,
So
so let's
first,
go.
here we
Let's start with
go.
number one. Hold on, Prince. Hold on, Prince. Let's start with number
Here we
one.
go.
So the fact that the CCP, right, had 3 major investing companies, right, that they were in partner with to fund their banks. Those 3 investment companies went bankrupt because they were owned by one larger one, and that larger company pulled out and seized all the assets and ran off with it. The CCP has no way to insure that money, and therefore caused all the banks in China to do a lockdown on that cash, made it to where ATMs could not be accessed, and they're trying their best to curb extreme inflation in the cash, right? Because nobody has access to the cash because it wasn't
beautiful
insured. Am
story,
I wrong?
just not fact based. Yep, 100%. Beautiful story, just not fact based. So I have a question. Do you understand like how the Chinese banking system works?
Yes, it's privately funded.
Nope, wrong. So the Chinese banking system, it can be compared to like the Fed. So you have basically these large charter banks of which most people have their accounts, and of those larger banks, then smaller regional banks will hold accounts with the main central bank. Now, what you're referring to is in a region called Xinan, right? In which there was fraud for a local bank where they had a liquidity problem for a few weeks, right? This was about $1 billion worth of liquidity. Now, if you understand banking, $1 billion is not a lot, right? Because $1 billion can be printed tomorrow, right? This was liquidity in terms of cash for that particular region, which was already solved. This wasn't a nationwide thing, and that's why I can post sources if you're not like familiar with this. Hello?
I'm happy to also provide you sources that they seized the assets of all the other banks that were partnered with these charter banks, right? Because they were these big private corporations. And I will show you, I will happily show you that they are creating that at most right now, a lot of banks have withdrawal limits on what they're allowed to pull out, right? Because they're trying, because those banks, right, the assets that are in those
Nationwide?
banks,
Is that what you're saying?
yeah, nationwide.
No, you're just wrong. You're wrong. But go
Nope.
ahead, continue.
No, you go ahead. All right, we got that first point out of the way. We'll
just to be clear, I used to go to school in China. I banked in China. The way your view of the banking system
Yeah,
is
and
just
I've gone
completely
down and
wrong.
eaten Chinese food. I've gone down and
Okay,
had
but I'm
Chinese
saying,
food at the local
I'm just saying,
Chinese buffet.
the
So
bank,
therefore, bro, listen, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me about no orange chicken, bro.
Wait, man, can I finish? The way you're portraying the banking system not only is not true, it's not even realistic because every single day, billions of dollars have to transact and have to be withdrawn out of accounts in order for the country to even run, just payroll, right? So, if there was this thing in terms of the Chinese banking system, you wouldn't even have fucking money, right? Because your money relies on companies having money, which rely on China having money. So I
struggling payments just to afford the fucking phone.
Yeah, but bro, why is somebody having expensive clothes more important than them having fucking an expensive phone? Why is that different?
Because we associate that with status.
So why?
Like when it comes to like having branded clothes or wear suits, those are going to be the first thing that comes to people's minds when it comes to financial
No.
status.
Sorry, we
and
didn't
like
say
the
about a
app and the brand
hierarchy.
phone.